companions and the Prophet worked day and night, and Medina at that point in time was such that it was close, and they dug a trench on the fourth side to ensure that a buffer got established between us would rest, and where Medina started, Medina began. And as they had thought, the campaigners came. They campaigned out for as long as they could, and because they could not pass over the buffer, they left violence that happened. And last but not the least is the Hudaybiyah Peace Treaty, which is another stone in the efforts of peace that Prophet organized. And in this particular incident, companions were going for a minor pilgrimage. And if I may remind you, Mecca used pilgrimage for practically all religions back then. No restriction posed to anybody coming from wherever at any point in time. To his companions wanted to come and do the minor pilgrimage. The Quraysh and the opponents did not allow that. And they stopped them at a place called Hudaybiyah, and they gone from here. The Prophet again could have gone into a confrontation mode here, but and negotiations began. And those negotiations eventually led into this treaty, which was called Hudaybiyah Peace Treaty, 10-year no-war pact, and eventually it brought about peace in that year without performing the pilgrimage, unilaterally accepting all demands that the opponents had put forward. This leads us to the next part of my presentation, which is the importance of peace in Islam. Peace in Islam has the status of being the greatest good, or what is known as the reason it is one of those ideals that it will never become disadvantageous. A lot of peace advantageous. Any other thing alone become disadvantageous. That's the peace really has the status of summum bonum in Islam. In fact, the way Islam is peace. And there is a hadith from the Prophet of Islam which says that a believer is one, a true believer is one from whose tongue the importance of peace is paradise as the home of peace. What this also means implicitly is God has given to everybody that all the people who want to become eligible candidates for paradise should have a culture of peace within them, adopt and expect to be eligible candidates for paradise. And this really brings me to the final bit. I'd like to end by saying that in today's world we hear a term called often, and the Muslim world holds the West has come to regard Islam as a danger, but in reality it is that Muslims have gone ahead and perpetrated violence, and the actual phrase has become Islamophobia, because it's a very important thing that Muslims should be Islamic teachings and not vice versa. And by saying that there was an Imam in Islam who said that the fate of the later generations will also get set practicing what the earlier and what he meant by that was that if we continue to follow the non-violent beginning of Islam, we will find our way in the later part of as well. That will be it from my side. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Razia. So may I request Harold do the translation?
I tried. Das war jetzt ganz viel. Diese Zusammenfassung auf Deutsch Ohr hört. Da geht es ganz prima und weil ganz viel von dem, was gesagt wurde, unseren Begriff der Fassung hat. Wo geht's los? Falsche Seite, Entschuldigung, da geht's los. Dschihad, genau. Ich wollte gerade noch die 3 E's von Pater Francis sagen. das Bild am Anfang habt ihr wahrscheinlich alle gut verstehen. Ein großes Poster, auf dem draufsteht, auf Deutsch übersetzt, alles, was man wissen muss, habe ich am 9.11. Und ich glaube, jetzt Aschermittwochsohr, das ist so etwas, was uns ganz viel, ja, die Situation so prägt. Also das, was wir vom Islam wissen müssen, haben wir am 9.11. erlebt. So, und jetzt kommen die Punkte, die er schön beschrieben hat. Dschihad, das Wort Dschihad, Wörter rausgeschrieben, die ich ganz kurz nennen will. Das eine ist Streiten für die Sache Gottes. Das ist also nichts anderes. Und zwar gewaltfrei streiten. Es geht um die eigene Verbesserung. Es geht vor allen Dingen darum zu sehen, wo in meiner Weise auf Gott hin Kämpfer, wo bist du in der Sache Gottes auf dem falschen Tag tun, damit du auf den richtigen. Also ich vergleiche sehr stark dieses Bild. Sich für die Sache Gottes einsetzen. Wir könnten sagen, uns fürs Reich wären wir im Dschihad. Das wäre das dargestellt hat. Das erste von den Worten. Das zweite, aber es gibt doch auch einen Krieg. Das war eine Folie, die da so drin stand. Wie ist das zu verstehen? Haben wir auch noch eine frühere Zeit eine stammesgeschichtliche Tradition in der Weise, eine politische Religion zu haben, mein Stamm, meine Wasserstelle. Und da muss ich manchmal, damit ich mit meinem Volk, mit meiner Religion hier leben, manchmal auch wirklich handfest werden. Das sind aber Zeiten, die des Koran geschrieben sind, die heute verstanden werden können. Noch dahinter steht, tun hat. Und dann kam das erste Krieg, ist die Sache von Staaten, nicht von Einzelnen, nicht von Terroristen, nicht von Religionen. Über die Frage von Krieg und Staaten. Ich habe mir 4 Worte notiert, die da für mich nicht gegen die grauen Kästen hier unterstanden, not against enemies. Also dieser Kampf, um den es geht, geht nicht darum, den Feind, der in mir selber Lebensfeind zu halten. Fastenzeit. Also das ist, wie gesagt, alles, was bei uns so passt. Dann kam, man hat sie sehr viele Beispiele genannt, die lasse ich jetzt aber gerne weg, aus dem Leben, was da war. Das waren 4 Beispiele, die genannt wurden. Sehen, dass der Prophet selbst in die genaue Auseinandersetzung nach Medina und ich bleibe in Medina, ich habe Auseinandersetzungen auf dem Weg zur Wallfahrt als Prophet. Ich wähle den, das war die Überschrift des Handelns habe, dann hat der Prophet immer den einfacheren Weg und das war ein Weg und nicht der im dritten großen Block von ihr sehr schön rüber. Beispiel des Propheten abzulesen, wie er sich selber für hat und sich für den Frieden eingesetzt. Vorletzte Folie war Peace ist das höchste Gut. So it's the same word in Germany. Summum bonum is the same word. Das höchste Gut, das wir haben, ist sich für ihn einzusetzen. Das Paradies ist ein Synonym gleich zu benutzen mit dem Wort Frieden und letztendlich zu führen und zu verstehen als einen wirklichen Einsetzen, aber so, dass er mit friedlichen Außen und dass er vor allem in mir selbst geführt wird. Dschihad ist das, was wir sagen würden, was das Recht, um ein besserer Mensch zu werden. So viel.
Thank you, Father Francis. Sorry, Father Harold. Father Harold. Yeah. Okay. Islam and West does not go hand in hand. There is a perception that not a concept of Western world. So, what is the reality? What is the stand of Islam with respect to the Western world? To talk about Islam and West is our next CPS speaker, Dr. Maria Khan. She is a author, blogger, and in various national programs from CPS side. She also represented in World Parliament of World Religions recently, and she's an Islamic scholar talking on Islam and West. So, Dr. Maria Khan.
Thank you, Rajat. The first thing that I'm a scholar, I am just a student of Islam. The topic that I have chosen to speak on Islam and the West. So I'll issues very briefly about this topic. So the narrative in the West, Islam is an obstacle to modern, and Muslims are considered as people who and generally even Americans think Muslims are fundamentally different, and they seek to make the United States like them. So I would like to begin by trying to understand how at all there is a Muslim population in United States. I'll be only talking about Europe here. So there are about 19 million Muslims at present in Europe, and that makes the entire percentage 4% of the entire European population. And France, 6 countries, Great Britain and Greece contain the maximum, about 4 to 7%. These European Muslims come from diverse backgrounds. You'll have Arabs, you'll have North Africans, you'll have subcontinent. Has a majority Turkish. Germany has a majority Turkish population. With migration of Muslims from World War II onwards. In 70s and 80s, migration of Muslims from mainly Middle East, Europe. And they came as laborers and they came as migrant to work in the industrial economies of the West. In Germany in particular, 80s, there was a wave of Muslim refugees from Afghanistan, Iran and Lebanon. And very recently, you all would know in the 15-16, about 600,000 sought asylum in Germany. Briefly consider 4 in the West. The first is, which is common among, is that Islam is resistant to secular. Now we all know that Europe, an entire process, and the state, Enlightenment, part of the Enlightenment or the Renaissance, believe that Islam is against this. Politics is an essential Islam. But I would like to clarify here a very important point, which is that Islam differentiates religious belief on the one hand, political system. So religious belief contains eternal teachings such as accountability to God, being compassionate, having well-wishing. These are of Islam and they have to be followed in every situation, in every. But as far as the political system, it's very important. It is entirely dependent upon the situation of believers. Political system according to religion, then Islam will allow. But if we have a mixed want religion in political affairs, then just to the social will. Differentiation between religious creed and political system, because a lot of polarization among Muslims is